about this. So this is us going into consultation with or contract with San Francisco School Volunteers. The cost is almost $100,000, and it's the consultant will access the current level of parent, community, and corporate involvement at targeted underperforming schools and set goals for increasing involvement based on individual school needs. I was under the impression that our parent liaisons are doing this already. I don't know why we're contracting for $100,000 when we have parent liaisons at almost all of our underperforming schools that are actually setting in. Is there anyone to report on this?
Hi, Commissioner. I will try to round out some information, just background information about our relationship with school volunteers in this regard, and notwithstanding the identity of that organization has changed, and I'm not sure exactly what the practical details of them merging from the school volunteers to the Ed Fund. I imagine there's a period over which some of their contractual relationships will still retain their old name. So, and that's the context in which I'll be making some comments. So, we have had a long-standing relationship, including a contractual relationship with San Francisco School Volunteers, and I'm not sure when it originated. We could find that out, but it has been the case as long as I've been in the district, which has been 9 years at this point. And we have had some decreases in the amount of this relationship. So right now, this contract is for $99,000, and I'll have to look after the meeting to see what the history has been. But over the last several years, that amount has been reduced. But we can get some additional the history for you. But just to give a little bit of information about the work that School Volunteers does that is related to the services that they provide to our schools. And I should just make one correction. The second sentence should say consultant will assess, not access. So that's a misprint there. So there are a lot of references in this language to the work that School Volunteers does with respect to targeted schools or targeted underperforming schools, and that is something that has changed over the last several years. So prior to, let's say, 2 or 3 years ago, School Volunteers really played a pretty general role with respect to brokering and matching volunteers who were interested in doing work with our schools to opportunities all across the district. There was no particular discernment, I guess, of the needs at specific schools or specific subset of schools. So they were just sort of a portal to match interested volunteers to volunteer opportunities. So since 3 years ago, there has been an intentional strategic shift in the approach that School Volunteers has taken to prioritize the work of their volunteers. So they do provide some baseline background check and induction and training to a broad base of volunteers, but to the greatest extent possible, they do try to focus their work with their volunteers or with the volunteer candidates to a smaller group of schools. So there are, I think, 6 schools that are identified as, they're called focus schools, and then a larger group of about 30 schools that are identified as priority schools, or vice versa. So they do work very intentionally to try to direct as many volunteer hours as possible to those specific schools, and they have pretty deep relationships at this point with those focus schools and priority schools. Commissioner, I'll stop.
Thank you, Mr. Lee. So it is, this a little disconcerting to me because we have a whole office of parent relations. Now parent engagement, whatever, they got a new title, but we have parent liaisons in all of our underperforming schools, and they also are charged with building parent community, and I'm apparently thinking that They have also goals to increase involvement. Also, we have APD that has a whole section for family and parent engagement. It seems as though we could do this work ourselves, knowing our communities better, since we already have people in the schools. I guess I was under the impression that San Francisco Volunteers, they fundraise money, and their mission is to assist us, that we don't pay them to do their work. And so I cannot support this tonight. I think that we have people on our staff already that have this expertise, or if not, should have this expertise by now, and that we can do this work on our own, and we can do it very well on our own. So unless we're prepared to maybe have more conversation about this, I am not comfortable with this, quite frankly. I would like to hear, maybe I am misinformed about what our parent liaisons and the APD family engagement part is doing, and what actually our administrators even doing on the school sites to assess. I'm thinking it is sort of in the plan under engagement of community that principals would be doing this sort of work already. I am comfortable with a fly in front of me, but I am comfortable with approving something like that without having that knowledge. But I do appreciate you also, as I said to Ms. Gottschalk, for responding to this and then to answer this question. Thank you very much.
I have limited information on this, but I should tell you, since I did attend a retreat where the San Francisco Volunteers and the Public Ed Fund were merging, and they had this discussion, and they show this as, just from what I saw, is that it appeared that this was the annual contribution that was made by the school district to the San Francisco Volunteers. And I don't know when that decision was made, but they made it very clear that that was just an annual, thing that showed up in their budgets. Just so you know, that's what I know of it. Okay.
Commissioner Yee?
So basically, I think we had a similar discussion probably 2 years ago, Commissioner Fewer, where we asked similar questions, and one of the things, one of the results of that discussion was that we came back to them and said, well, can you do some specific for the support that we're giving you? And one of the things we asked for, and I don't know where it's at this point, but it'd be good for them to come back and, because they gave a presentation of the things they did, and that would be useful. But one of the things that I was really excited about, because it was something that came from the community, a request from the community, from the parents, for some organization to actually recruit as many bilingual people as possible, so that they could help with translations, particularly during those times where it's teacher-parent conferences, where even though you may have 1 or 2 people in the school that are bilingual, and that's not enough for the 500 teacher-parent conferences. So, and they said they would take it on about 2 years ago. They said that they would actually start recruiting and so forth. So I was pretty excited about that. I don't know if they've done a good job or bad job or whatever, but it'd be really